Hi, friends. I'm sitting here in my office. And in my office, of course, I have office stuff like a computer. And I also have a whole bunch of my art quilts up because they make me feel happy. But one thing I have is I have a place in my office where I photograph my art quilts. I know a lot of people who photograph artwork get like super nervous. They think they have to have just the perfect everything. That's complicated, that they should hire a professional. And of course, this leads you down a path or where you only get things photographed if you absolutely have to. Well, I'm here to tell you it's easy. Don't make it too complicated. I use a camera, but I believe you could even get a decent photograph with your cell phone and a tripod. So today, let's talk about photographing and see if I can get you a little more comfortable with documenting that beautiful work. It's pretty easy. What I have is I have a camera that I have had for years. It is by no means new. I have a couple of lights, also not new. I have, as luck would have it, a very nice window. And if you can see, there's a tree outside so that there's wonderful sun that fills the room, but it isn't glaring in. I also have another set of windows way up top that are also getting dappled light from a tree, and just one window that sheds light over the top of the space just above where I take pictures. So now I'm going to be taking a photograph of the whole quilt. I want to emphasize how important it is to have that white or neutral background. And it forms a frame, as you can see, around the image. Of course, I take it into Photoshop Elements and crop it down once I've taken the picture and make adjustments. But that white background and the fact that it is straight, and even the grid lines on the camera tell me it's nice and straight. That's really, really important. When you go ahead and take your second shot, you really want to be closer to your piece. So I move up my camera so that it's just a little bit closer to my image. And then I'm going to zoom in on a part of that I feel a juror might want to get a closer look. In this case, it's the figure and the face and the hand. My little level is my secret weapon. I use it to level not only the camera itself, even though my tripod has a level, I just don't trust it. I level the lens, and I check and double check and triple check. This really helps me have a picture that is straight, and that is oh so important. I pin my work to a white felt tile wall with a piece of batting over it. I always use these clear push pins, which I can easily edit out in Photoshop if they show up at all. Let's talk about lights. Everyone has a different approach to lights, and I think you really have to find your own way. But here's what I've done. I have a set of two lights that go at 45-degree angles, basically on either side of my camera. Sometimes I use one of the umbrellas that come with them because I'm getting a glare when I look at my camera.
But quite frankly, most of the time I don't use the umbrella. And I simply put the lights on either side. I look through that camera and I make sure I like what I see. I can always correct in Photoshop elements. I can also adjust the light by simply pulling up the blind or turning on the lights overhead or opening up a hall window or taking a picture at a different time of the day. So unless you have a professional photography studio with everything set up just right, I think you have to just find your own way, and that's perfectly acceptable. If you're following all these steps and you have a nice iPhone camera and you're putting it on a tripod, you could probably get a very good picture. But the difference is when you have a camera, and it doesn't have to be an expensive camera. Mine was actually purchased reconditioned. The thing that you get with that kind of camera is you get the ability to change the image quality. And I always photograph in RAW. RAW is the biggest file you can get, and it has the most information in that file. So, in other words, if I'm sending a photograph to a magazine, for example, and they need it for print, they need a really big, high quality photograph. And this will give you a big, high quality photograph. So when I have my photograph ready to go, I can look through that camera lens and see exactly what I'm going to be shooting. There's a couple of things I also do. One is that I have a timer on it so I can wait 10 seconds before it will automatically take the photo. I also have the ability to adjust the settings manually. I have the ability to use the flash, which I occasionally do. So there's a lot of different things that you can play with. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I did not figure all the things that I should be doing on my own. What I did was, I had a friend of my husband's who's a professional photographer, and he's amazing. And I simply called him up and say, "Hey, what should my camera settings be?" And he gave me an f-stop, which is 2.8. And he said, "You want to set this to daylight or mixed light or whatever." And I just don't change the settings. I actually write them down so in case I mess up, I have them there. Now, do you have a good family friend who does this? Maybe, maybe not. But I bet you everybody has someone who has a photo, is a photo nut, or somebody who's in a photo club. You can also go to Discord or there's so many places to get information. I think the key thing is write the information down, put them in your settings, and don't change them so that you have high quality, consistent photographs. It's really not that hard. Well, here's the final photograph of one of my quilts called Oh Patience. I think it came out really well. The colors are absolutely what I painted, and I did it myself. It didn't cost me any money, and it got done. It got done before I hung that quilt up for storage. Remember, if it isn't photographed, it really isn't finished.
Hey, friends, thanks for tuning into my channel. It's new, and I'm hoping to build a little community here. So please do me a favor and just like and subscribe. And I'll see everybody next week. Bye bye.